Special Fondness. Chapter 5. That night, Fang Su had the most peaceful sleep he'd ever had in recent years. It was clear that there was a time when he was confused about his life and felt that he was merely drifting away. For some reasons, however, he now felt a strong sense of belonging. It was as if for the last 10 years, he had been living like an outsider in his own family. Now that he had inexplicably went to an unfamiliar place, his heart instead feels at ease and there was no need for him to worry about other matters anymore. Before going to bed, Tang Qiaoyuan didn't do anything else. He only rubbed his ankle and went to wash off the residual medicinal tonic in his hands. Afterwards, he came to hold him in his arms and kiss his brows, eyes, nose, and lips in all tenderness. Fang Su did not resist as he felt that these warm lips were giving him just enough comfort. He closed his eyes and relaxed as his thoughts gradually drifted away. When he woke up again, he had taken the initiative to cuddle up in Tang Qiaoyuan's arms, with his cheeks against his neck. He slept so much that his whole body was feeling nice and warm. Tang Qiaoyuan woke up long ago but didn't dare to disturb him. He held Fang Su carefully and thus, he was aware of any movements he made. This made Fang Su bashful, but it was too late to feign sleep anymore. "Did you sleep well?" Tang Qiaoyuan loosened his arms and lowered his head to kiss Fang Su's flaming cheeks. "N." Fang Su nodded. Tang Qiaoyuan sat up and slightly moved his numb arm to lean over in order to support Fang Su while saying, "I originally thought of taking you outside for a stroll, but your leg has not healed yet and it is inconvenient for you to walk." Fang Su raised his eyes. He wanted to say that it was only a minor sprain and that was no need to care too much about it. But after giving it some thought, he felt that whether he said it or not would make no difference. After all, he have someone to depend on now, so he just have to listen to this person's arrangements. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't realize what was going on in Fang Su's mind as he casually added, "We can go later. For now, let's stay at the estate so you can recuperate. I will teach you how to write, and if you get tired of it, I can also read books to you." Fang Su's eyes were bright, repeating what he just said absent-mindedly, "Read to me. Don't you like it?" Tang Qiaoyuan asked with a smile. Fang Su promptly nodded his head, "I'd like that." His eagerness caused Tang Qiaoyuan to look down and grin. Thus, Tang Qiaoyuan carried him to the courtyard after breakfast. He set him at the stone table and after a short while, people brought high stacks of books from the library and arranged them into categories and genres, making it easier to choose. Fang Su sat at the table. He couldn't read many characters, so he couldn't tell what these books were about. He could only wait for Tang Qiaoyuan to go and pick one out. Tang Qiaoyuan picked a book and suddenly saw a picture book mixed amongst them. There was little text in them, but the pictures were vivid. He smiled and asked, "Is Su afraid of spirits?" Fang Su did not understand. Only when Tang Qiaoyuan brought the book for him to see that he understood that the book was about folk legends. The picture showed a monster with a splitting grin, with 8 limbs and 3 heads, but it wasn't scary. Looking at a picture like this in broad daylight wasn't scary at all. Fang Su slightly smiled and shook his head. He looked up at Tang Qiaoyuan with an expectant expression on his face. Tang Qiaoyuan felt that he chose the right one. He brought the book beside him, flipped it to the first page and started to tell him the story from the beginning. The book was composed of short stories with the subject creature drawn on every page. There were captions describing its appearances and its power, letting people imagine the rest of it. Tang Qiaoyuan added some things up as he read in order to entertain Fang Su. When Fang Su became particularly interested, he would ask a few questions about to which Tang Qiaoyuan answered carefully and animatedly as if he had seen them himself. In this way, they went through the thin book till its end. Fang Su was still immersed when they finished it that he eventually asked, "N. Do you know what the big-headed ghost looks like?" Big-headed ghost. Tang Qiaoyuan had never heard of it. He roughly had an idea, but he still asked, "Where did Su hear of it?" Fang Su recalled, "I heard it from my mother when I was young. Every day, once the darkness comes, my mother would forbid me to go out, saying that there would be a big-headed ghost that only fed on children. Tang Jiaoyuan understood. No wonder he had never heard of it. It was actually something that was made up by his mother-in-law in order to frighten Fang Su. He chuckled and said, then I have heard of it. This ghost looks like a tanghulu, but there is only one hawthorn fruit on its stick. It would move around the top of it. Fang Su let his imagination run with those words as curves appeared at the corner of his eyes. Tang Jiaoyuan noticed that Fang Su was buying his bluff and started to elaborate some more. That head was too heavy and so it would slosh around while it was walking and spin around like this. Tang Jiaoyuan moved his head to demonstrate it while speaking. Fang Su looked at him seriously with a pair of bright eyes, his gaze following his movements when all of a sudden, he was being kissed. Fang Su was dumbfounded. He actually thought for a while whether Tang Jiaoyuan was making things up or if the big-headed ghost really did exist. While his doubts were yet to clear, Tang Jiaoyuan wrapped the hand that was holding the book behind Fang Su's back and bowed his head. His face was devoid of the slight teasing expression that it had a while ago when he softly caught his lips. Fang Su closed his eyes. He stopped thinking as he allowed that tongue to go inside his mouth. After a while, he raised his hands to hold on Tang Jiaoyuan's sleeves as he responded clumsily. Despite him being stiff and nervous, Tang Jiaoyuan went wild in excitement as his original intention of going easy was replaced with gradual aggressiveness. Fang Su's tightly closed eyelashes trembled as he was gradually pressed against the pavilion's pillar. After a long time, he let out an out-of-breath groan. Tang Jiaoyuan recovered a bit and pulled himself back. He finally ended the long kiss while the book in his hand has long been wrinkled and deformed. Fang Su's chest was heaving as he lowered his eyes to avoid Tang Jiaoyuan's gaze when all of a sudden, his chin was lifted. He had no choice but to raise his head and saw that a pair of eyes as fierce as fire were staring at him. With a low and firm voice that could not be refuted, Tang Jiaoyuan spoke, "You are already married me. We bowed to heaven and earth and exchanged wine cups with me. We are officially wedded to one another." Fang Su did not know what he meant and waited calmly for him to finish his sentence. Tang Jiaoyuan continued to ask, "How should you be addressing me?" Fang Su was taken aback. He was too shy to speak out, so he tightened his lips. Tang Jiaoyuan had noticed his bashfulness this time. When he was about to prompt Fang Su again, he hesitated for a moment. Fang Su's hesitation was because he didn't know how he should refer to this person before him. Even though he already knew his name, he couldn't say it promptly. He knew deep in his heart that he was different from Tang Jiaoyuan. Since he could not address him intimately, he could only avoid it. Tang Jiaoyuan was paying attention to his minute reaction and his heart ached, but he refused to let this matter go. "You shall call me Jiaoyuan. If you don't address me as such, then I will pretend not to hear you." Tang Jiaoyuan knew that he couldn't bear to lie to Fang Su, but he still wanted to pretend. "Buletin," then he quickly followed with, "If you call me husband, then I would gladly go along with it." He spoke in a soft and warm voice while smiling. Fang Su's complexion turned red as he listened to what his man said. Tang Jiaoyuan refused to let go of his hand until he swiftly called out in a soft voice, "Jiaoyuan." Tang Jiaoyuan curved his lips with satisfaction before he retracted his hand and lightly kissed Fang Su on the cheek. Fang Su's eyes started to mist. He didn't know whether if it was from shock or anxiousness. Tang Jiaoyuan looked at him softly and was no longer forcing him, though he kept him in his arms. "You're just not used to it yet. Once our relationship deepens, you'll know that you can always depend on me." Fang Su did not comment. It was difficult for him to fully believe his words, but a faint thought came to his mind that he was not unwilling to depend on Tang Jiaoyuan. His hesitation stemmed from fear and the lack of clarity on the road ahead. If there really were divinities in this world that could tell him that this person would love him for the rest of his life, then surely, he would no longer have any doubts and would dedicate his life to him. Fang Su tentatively raised his hand and slowly returned Tang Jiaoyuan's hug. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 6. Spring became slightly hot as summer arrived quietly. Fang Su had been staying in the Tang mansion for more than half a month and he have yet to go outside. It was not like it was hard to find an opportunity to do so, but he just didn't make the request. Tang Jiaoyuan was also constantly worried about his foot injury that he even rarely let him leave the main courtyard, not to mention other places. Tang Jiaoyuan had been staying by his side for several days now that one could even say that they were almost attached to the hips. He taught him how to read and how to write, accompanied him to study and chat with him. Whenever Fang Su allowed his mind to wander, he would often wondered about Tang Jiaoyuan's identity. He didn't know what he did for a living for him to be able to stay in the mansion every day, nor why everybody around him would address him as master. He thought about that many times but never really asked. Since Fang Su got along with Tang Jiaoyuan, he has gotten more relaxed and was no longer worried about being embarrassed. However, being obedient like that made it hard for him to take a step further and didn't want to ask about the other party's private affairs. Tang Jiaoyuan sympathized with him. Although he could see that Fang Su was still not comfortable enough, the slightest improvements were enough to make him feel relieved. Thus, he was reluctant to disrupt their current situation and could only wait for everything to get better step by step. Besides, Fang Su's sprained ankle gradually healed within this half-month period. Whether it was thanks to the medicinal liquor or the injury he got that day was not too serious, Tang Jiaoyuan was just glad that he was going to be completely fine, soon. Fang Su was now able to walk briskly on his own and could even jog without limping anymore. From daytime till nighttime, Fang Su would sit alone behind the desk practicing his calligraphy. A gust of breeze was blowing outside the windows and surged into the room, sending the rice papers flying all around the room. Fang Su hurriedly used the paperweight to press them down, then turned around to run towards the windows and carefully closed them. Tang Jiaoyuan was sitting by the table drinking tea as he looked at him running back and forth, with a smile in his eyes. Then walked up to him and asked, "What are you writing?" Looking down, he saw that Fang Su was copying a storybook. There were many complicated characters in it that Fang Su could not recognize, yet he also managed to copy them very decently. It is getting neater and neater. Tang Jiaoyuan's lips curled up. He embraced Fang Su as he let out a low chuckle for a short while, then turned him around to ask, "Doesn't your foot hurt anymore?" At that moment, Fang Su suddenly came to a realization. He lowered his head to look at his left foot. Then he nodded and replied, "It doesn't hurt anymore. It seems to have healed." Tang Jiaoyuan loved this confused expression on his face. He bent to kiss the shell of Fang Su's ear until it became red and hot. Then he coaxed, "Then tomorrow I will take you outside of the mansion to play, how about that?" Fang Su nodded as his eyes revealed his happiness. Although Fang Su's foot was already healed, Tang Jiaoyuan still kept on rubbing medicinal tonic for him since this medicine was harmless to the bones and muscles. Rubbing it a few more times was just for precaution, thus he refused to neglect it. Warm hands kept on massaging Fang Su's ankle, until this part of the skin felt burning. It had been like that for many days without fail, but Fang Su still couldn't get used to it. Whenever Tang Jiaoyuan did this, Fang Su would always look at him quietly with a red face. Tonight, Fang Su's awkwardness was exceptionally noticeable as he pressed his lips as if he wanted to say something. Tang Jiaoyuan saw it clearly but did not ask him anything. He would wait until he was ready to speak. However, he did not know that this wait would be quite long. Fang Su remained silent while the medicinal tonic was being applied, until Tang Jiaoyuan put away the bottle, washed his hands and returned to bed. Only then did Fang Su finally overcame his bashfulness and started talking. At this moment, the candle lights in the room were extinguished and only vague shadows could be seen. Fang Su gently tugged at the corners of his sleeves and whispered, "It's already healed." Tang Jiaoyuan inexplicably understood the meaning behind his words. It seemed that he wanted to thank him, but it also carried a hint of coquettishness that Fang Su himself seemed to be unaware of. Tang Jiaoyuan couldn't help but smile happily as he replied, "All right, I would stop rubbing medicine on it from tomorrow." Fang Su let out an "N," closed his eyes to sleep and as usual drew himself closer to Tang Qianyuan. Tang Qianyuan would also stretch out his arm to embrace him like usual. However, something was different today. The hand wrapped around his back wasn't gently patting him but was instead touching his back in a suggestive way, sliding down and gently scratching, making him felt tickling like sensation. Fang Su wasn't thinking anymore as after a while he really felt tickled. Laughter spilled from his lips as he squirmed forward a bit to avoid it. Tickles. Before he could even finish his word, he was suddenly stunned as the moment he leaned forward he seemed to have bumped into something remarkable. Tang Qianyuan did not reply as his hand was pressing against Fang Su's lower back. The little pressure drew the person in his arms even closer, letting his thigh feel the vigorous thing in his lower body while he kept a calm expression on his face. Then he slowly kissed Fang Su's delicate eyebrows. Fang Su immediately understood. He was a man himself. He knew what that hard and hot thing was. Tang Qianyuan's breath became heavy but his kiss was not rushed as if he was deliberately restraining himself, for fear that he would frighten Fang Su. Fang Su's body tensed. He indeed felt a little panicked but fortunately, this person was not urging him to respond and allowed him to go on his own pace. He calmed himself down and inexplicably remembered what this person had said before, that he was already married to him. They were clearly already married yet they have waited until now to consummate their marriage. It wasn't hard to see how much Tang Qianyuan cherished him, was it? Thinking about this, his body slowly relaxed. Fang Su raised his head and gently brushed his lips in the dark to meet Tang Qianyuan's kiss. Tang Qianyuan let out a low sigh as he rolled over and pressed him down. The originally cautious little pecks turned into fiery kisses, from his earlobe going down to linger on his neck, branding him with ambiguous marks one after another. This person's gentle hands carried a sense of dominance that was hard to ignore. He pulled the collar of Fang Su's inner robe open, then his lips fell on the exposed chest, and kissed it for a while trying to find the sensitive and soft little dots. Then he opened his mouth to suck on them. Fang Su couldn't stop the low moan that spilled from his closed lips and the quivering sound fell into the ears of the person on top of him. Tang Qianyuan straightened himself and rutted against Fang Su's lower body through the fabric of their underpants, sucking on the little nubs and sighed, "Su-su." Fang Su's eyes were filled with emotion and dampness. Being called by his nickname made his whole body soft as he obediently let this person take off his pants. Tang Qianyuan squeezed his body between his legs and used a hand to stroke the base of Fang Su's thighs to spread them more apart, while his other hand reached under the pillow to find a case of scented cream. Fang Su did not understand what it was at first until he felt the slippery cream-like substance being smeared on a certain place behind him, that he suddenly thought about how that thing had been left under his pillow for many days. A finger broke into the tight entrance making Fang Su's legs tightened as he bit his lower lip restlessly. Tang Qianyuan kissed his lips until he opened his mouth. Only then did his finger slowly start moving inside, carefully stroking that warm place, waiting patiently for him to relax some more. Fang Su panted as he moved as the fear in his heart gradually subsided. When his mind started to drift a little, that person stretched in another finger. Fang Su frowned slightly but fortunately, he was able to adapt. He tried his best to cooperate and endure it though he groaned with pain when a third finger entered. "Bear with it a little longer," Tang Qianyuan apologized and kissed his face. The arrow was already placed against the bowstring and it was hard to stop. He could only use his other hand to comfort Fang Su's front, trying to divert his attention. Fang Su's front was originally slightly erected but at this moment, it lost some energy because of the pain. After being fondled with the palm of that person and rubbed for a while, it finally recovered once more. Tang Qianyuan could hear the slow changes in his moans. Once he was reassured, he slowly pumped his fingers. The A-cup ointment was rubbed until it was soft and wet. After the fingers withdrew, Fang Su breathed a sigh of relief. But before his misty eyes could find focus again, he saw Tang Qianyuan leaned down and pressed him. He lowered his head and whispered, "Bite me if it hurts." Fang Su looked at him absent-minded. Before he could think clearly about these words, a hard object reached up behind him, and as if it could not wait any longer, it was firmly pushed inside. Qiao Yuan, Fang Su tightly clenched that person's shoulders in panic. With enough foreplay, the pain was not too intense, but something foreign being inserted inside his body made him particularly nervous. He subconsciously called for him, wanting to hear some comforting words. Tang Qiaoyuan's lower body kept thrusting while the arm on the back of Fang Su's waist tightened to hug him closer as Tang Qianyuan whispered in his ears as if in reply, "Don't be afraid." Fang Su tightly wrapped his arms around Tang Qiaoyuan's neck, his eyelashes flickered and let out a trail of tears in grievance. Tang Qiaoyuan slowly thrusted deeper, stopping to kiss the wet corners of his eyes. Faint moonlight shone through the paper windows, slowly illuminating the room. Fang Su's eyes had already adapted to the darkness, so now that they were close, Fang Su could see the smile in this person's eyes. After slowing down his movements for a while, Tang Qiaoyuan stretched his waist shallowly, as if looking for something in his body. He asked with a gentle smile, "Where is it, my Su?" Fang Su was puzzled and stared at him with teary eyes until he felt something inside him being hit that made him felt incredible. He couldn't help but let out a low moan while he twisted his waist. "Here." Tang Qiaoyuan hugged his waist. With a deep smile he bowed his head to kiss his lips and started to thrust at that same spot. "No." Fang Su shook his head while hugging Tang Qiaoyuan's body tightly, and begged for mercy with a trembling voice. Tang Qiaoyuan had always been caring towards him, but at that moment he was just smiling while whispering sweet words and coaxing him slowly, while his lower part rammed home and gradually went faster and harder. "Qiaoyuan, don't want." Fang Su wasn't even sure what he wanted. He felt waves of intense pleasure and lifted his head in excitement. Tang Qiaoyuan buried his head in Fang Su's neck and inhaled. Fang Su slowly became unable to speak. He inadvertently used his hands to scratch on Tang Qiaoyuan's back. His stiff cock rubbed against Tang Qiaoyuan's hard abdomen and spurted some fluid. Finally, with a cry, he came on Tang Qiaoyuan's stomach. After his climax, Fang Su's hold desperately squeezed on the object inside him with a tight grip. Tang Qiaoyuan narrowed his eyes and sighed. His hands remained on Fang Su's waist and comforted him with gentle caresses. After the initial surge of pleasure passed, he recovered his stamina and was once again penetrated continuously. Fang Su's body turned weak. It was his first time and it was hard for him to handle such strong pleasure. His legs became soft and trembled on the bed. All he could do was wait for the other man to be satisfied. Tang Qiaoyuan knew that it was hard on Fang Su. That's why he purposefully didn't ask for too much. He rammed into that blissful spot 100 times more, and at last he released inside Fang Su, who at the same time was also reaching the peak again. The light in Fang Su's eyes had long faded away. He could feel the other man's scorching breath against his neck, and the lingering effects of pleasure made his body tremble uncontrollably. After a short while, Tang Qiaoyuan regained some clarity and made a move to leave. Fang Su let out a faint and low sound as he weakly stretched out weakly as his fingers scratched on Tang Qiaoyuan's back. Tang Qiaoyuan lay down on his side, and hugged Fang Su's with a smile. He grabbed Fang Su's fingers and started to knead and kiss them. After feeling satisfied, he repeatedly called out, "Su Su," so much that Fang Su felt his cheeks become hot. When he finally stopped, Tang Qiaoyuan still teased him deliberately, "Once you get used to it, I will thoroughly make love to you." Fang Su's body turned rigid once he heard what he said. They have been getting along for some days now, but he had never seen this person with this look. He didn't know how to respond, so he could only bury his head and refused to pay attention to him. Tang Qiaoyuan chuckled and took the opportunity to let him lean on his chest as his hand ran along the back of Fang Su's head while pondering in his head that besides performing the wedding ceremony and drinking the nuptial cup, they were only missing the wedding night, which they had finally consummated today. The soft ambiguous words floating in the air slowly calmed down. Tang Qiaoyuan rested for a while before getting out of bed with Fang Su in his arms, who was too ashamed to say anything and went behind the screen to wash up. The weight between his arms was very light, but he was worth everything. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 7. At dawn the next morning, Fang Su woke up leisurely from his dream. Before opening his eyes, the events of last night emerged in his mind, making him unable to look at the man next to him. His body wasn't exhausted, but he still felt lethargic, as if he didn't want to make a single movement. So, he took the opportunity to lie still and did not get up. He closed his eyes and pretended to be asleep. That way, he also could avoid talking to Tang Qiaoyuan. Tang Qiaoyuan had woken up for who knew since when and had been watching Fang Su's sleeping appearance. That's how he knew that Fang Su was already awake but was still pretending to be asleep. Even so, he didn't expose him. He chuckled lowly as he sat up and got out of bed to freshen up first. Fang Su heard his movements and quietly opened his eyes. The several scratch marks on Tang Qiaoyuan's back were very eye-catching. It only took a glance for one to understand how he had gotten them. He immediately closed his eyes with shame as fragments of what happened last night appeared in his mind without his bidding. He felt his whole body heat up, which made him even more reluctant to get up, wishing to spend the whole day wrapped in the quilt. Although he thought that way, in the end, he couldn't do as he wished. Tang Qiaoyuan did not urge him and only sent people to bring breakfast to the room, comprised of unknown number of sumptuous dishes with its fragrant smell filling up the room, making people salivate. The scent drifted closer and closer until the tantalizing smell drifted under his nose. Fang Su couldn't help himself anymore and opened his eyes. He noticed that Tang Qiaoyuan was teasing him on purpose as he held a small porcelain bowl with a small bun inside and approached him, letting out a low chuckle. Crab roe steamed bun. Now he really could not pretend anymore. Fang Su looked at him with a faint red face, his lips slowly curled up into a smile. Tang Qiaoyuan put the bowl on the low bedside table and held Fang Su up. When he put his palm on his back, he was taking note in his heart that Fang Su was too thin, so thin that it made his heart ache when he touched him. He helplessly smiled and asked, "I brought all the good things on the table, but you always only have few bites. How will I fatten you up?" Fang Su listened to his words and took a look at the table in front of him. It was only breakfast, but a whole table was set up. The dishes were more abundant day after day, as if they were afraid that he won't be able to pick what he likes. Fang Su actually liked everything, but he was used to getting little food during all these years and had a small appetite. Whenever he looks at those delicious dishes, his heart longs for it, but he could not have them all. "You've prepared way too much," Fang Su replied softly. Tang Qiaoyuan pretended not to understand. "Don't tell me that if I had prepared less, it would make you eat more? What is this reasoning? Then, in the future I will only prepare a bowl of meat for you, will you be able to finish it cleanly?" Fang Su was unable to answer. He couldn't compare to his silver tongue. Tang Qiaoyuan laughed for a while. Then he bent over to help Fang Su wear his socks and shoes and added, "Eat whatever you like. It would be great even if you were to eat one more bite." Fang Su nodded. Tang Qiaoyuan felt relieved for a while and personally waited on him by washing his face and rinsing his mouth, then took him to sit by the desk once he was done and said, "Today's weather is pleasing. Let's pick a set of light clothes for you and tie your hair up. It is already summer. If you leave your hair laying down like this, it will inevitably make you feel stuffy and make you sweat." Fang Su held the small bowl of white fungus soup with both hands to drink it, while watching Tang Qiaoyuan's movement from the side of his eyes. When he heard the words about his hair, he was suddenly stunned and seemed to have thought of something. Then he opened his mouth to call him, "Qiaoyuan." Tang Qiaoyuan's eyes and eyebrows were filled with joy. He loved to hear Fang Su call his name so gently. Looking back, he answered and listened to his question, "Where is the luggage that I previously requested to be put away?" "What luggage?" Tang Qiaoyuan blurted out. After asking, he came back to his senses and thought that it must be the parcel that Fang Su brought with him when he first came to the mansion. "I'll send someone to retrieve it from the other courtyard. It should be stored somewhere inside the room. Let's ask." Tang Qiaoyuan spoke as he walked to the windows. He called for the several maidservants who were waiting in the corridors. The maidservants entered the room, but after listening to the question, they were all confused. After thinking for a long time, one of them remembered and said, "It seems like this luggage has already been thrown away." Tang Jiaoyuan immediately pulled a long face and demanded, "Who told you that you can throw it?" The maid saw that he was angry and instantly knelt down and confessed her mistake. The other maids knelt down as well for fear of incurring his anger. Fang Su was slightly surprised when he saw that. He quickly put down the bowl and spoon, and soothed Tang Jiaoyuan to lessen his anger. "There is no harm done. Don't be angry." Tang Jiaoyuan looked at him sideways, and saw that his eyes were full of disappointment and anxiety, yet he was still looking after them by giving some justification. Thus, the reprimand that was at the tip of his tongue was not able to come out. "Master," the maidservant who was kneeling on the ground was terrified. She didn't even dare utter a word, but when she saw that Fang Su was pleading on their behalf, she then whispered, "There were only 2 old pieces of cloth in that luggage. This servant would never dare make such a rash decision. It was Miss Bai Ping who said that there was no need to keep them, that's why." Tang Jiaoyuan frowned. He could not understand how Bai Ping, who had always been meticulous, could make such a mistake. When he seemed to be very displeased, the girl who was just mentioned rushed inside the room after she heard what was being said. Bai Ping lifted the beaded curtain. After she entered the room, she delicately greeted with a bow, "Master," then without being asked, she immediately turned her body to Fang Su's direction and bowed, "Madam, this servant has taken the initiative to put the wooden hairpin that was inside the luggage inside the dressing table's small drawer for you." Fang Su's eyes became overjoyed. Before he could ask her how she knew what was important for him, he stood up and walked up to the dressing table. Inside the drawer, there was a cloth that was meticulously folded. He opened the fabric and saw the simple hairpin that was with him for more than 10 years. It was gently laying inside. Fang Su's mood recovered from his loss and turned his head to thank Bai Ping. "Thank you very much, Miss Bai Ping. Madam is very thoughtful." Bai Ping responded with a smile and took the frightened maidservants to leave the room when the moment was right. Before leaving, her eyes swept over Tang Jiaoyuan's face and saw the softness in the eyes of someone who usually didn't show any. Her heart paused slightly. She couldn't help but think that this man who suddenly came to the mansion may really be the precious jade of this whole house. Bai Ping was quietly rejoicing and secretly embraced this treasure. After the brief storm had unfolded inside the room, the hostility that Tang Jiaoyuan inadvertently revealed had disappeared. He approached Fang Su to look at the object in his hand and asked, "Does Su wants to go out wearing this hairpin?" Fang Su was in a good mood after he was able to find his precious thing. When he heard Tang Jiaoyuan's question, he smiled and shook his head lightly. "It's a hairpin made for women, how can I use it? This is the only thing that I have left from my mother. It has accompanied me for 10 years, I forgot to look for it earlier." As he spoke, Fang Su felt guiltier. In the past, this hairpin was always quietly pressed under his pillow. If he had been wronged during the day, then he would take it out at night for a look and felt comforted. But now that he came to Tang Jiaoyuan's side, he suddenly gained a thoughtful and considerate lover, which had actually replaced the protection given by this hairpin. He had been so comfortable these past days that he had forgotten to keep this hairpin with him at all times. Fang Su's eyes became slightly red as his heart inexplicably throbbed with remorse. When the person behind heard him mention his departed mother, he stretched out his arms and hugged him to his chest. In this light summer, the floating clouds were thin. Linzhou City was normally lively, with streets bustling with pedestrians and street vendors lining up along the road. Occasionally, children were frolicking about on the street. Fang Su wore a goose-yellow garment and walked unhurriedly with Tang Jiaoyuan, who was pinching and playing with Fang Su's fingers under her sleeves. It made Fang Su very embarrassed at first, but later on, his attention was diverted away by the dazzling things on the street and he gradually relaxed. No matter how sticky Tang Jiaoyuan was, he just turned his head and looked at the new things. As they walked, Tang Jiaoyuan couldn't help but chuckled. He suddenly hooked an arm around his waist, not caring if people were looking at them, and pretended to complain, "Once Su is outside the mansion, he doesn't even look at me anymore." Fang Su's face became warm, then he heard him teased again in a low voice, "It is better to be in the mansion. At least when you are in the mansion, you would steal a few glances at me." Fang Su had nowhere to hide, as even his ears were burning up. He originally thought that Tang Qiaoyuan was unaware of what he was doing, but it seemed that he had seen through his antics all this time. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't want to let him go yet, so he held him tighter and asked him with a chuckle, "Which looks better, the things outside or your husband?" Fang Su dodged his head to avoid him, but Tang Qiaoyuan refused to loosen his hold, deliberately making it difficult for Fang Su to avoid looking at him no matter what he did. Fang Su was afraid of attracting others' attention and could only reply in a whisper, "You look better." Tang Qiaoyuan couldn't stop himself from laughing out loud and wanted to kiss Fang Su on the face, but he was afraid that it would make him so embarrassed that he would refuse to move forward. He weighed the situation and decided to endure it, and stopped teasing Fang Su. Tang Qiaoyuan retracted his arm and Fang Su turned around to look around him. It seemed that no idlers were looking at them, which made him secretly breathe a sigh of relief. What he didn't know was that in Linzhou City, very few people were unaware of Tang Qiaoyuan's identity. Most people there were afraid of him to some extent and didn't dare to look at him disrespectfully. They knew that should they angered him, it would only bring them the bad luck of a lifetime. Everyone on the street turned a blind eye, talking and walking around them respectively. The children were probably the only fearless ones, as they blinked with their pairs of big innocent eyes and looking up at them. Should their eyes met with Fang Su's, they would grin and make shameful grimaces at him. Fang Su gradually relaxed. Maybe because he was affected by the children, a big smile appeared on his face as his fingers curled imperceptibly and hooked Tang Qiaoyuan's palm. Not far away, a youngster of about 10 years old looked at them in surprise. An expression of disbelief could be seen on his face. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 8. The village located outside Linzhou City was just a few miles away. It took more than a quarter of an hour to drive the carriage back and forth, but if one was to go by foot, less than half an hour should be enough. Farmers in the village trade with each other, and every day before dawn, they would go to the city to either sell fruits and vegetables or sell handicrafts to earn some money to support their families. This had been the case for Fang Su's birth mother more than a decade ago. The woman with 10 nimble fingers would carry her handmade embroideries and rushed to the city while carrying in her arms a child that was still nibbling his hands. She would then sit in the street for the entire day. At that time, Fang Su was still unfamiliar with the world and was afraid of everything in the city. He would obediently sit still on a stool, holding on to his mother's clothes, and watched as people come and go. Later, when he got a bit older at 5 years old, he had gained more courage. He liked to run alone to the school that was on the same street and hide outside the windows to listen to the teacher's lecture. During those olden days, he was poor but happy. Although his family was poor, whenever Fang Su thought about something, his mother would do everything she could to fulfill his wish. Fang Su received that much love, but sadly it didn't last long. Before he could become a sensible child, the wife of the family had already changed to someone else. For 12 whole years, Fang Su no longer liked to run around Linzhou City lest the sceneries reminded him of those old memories. But it seemed that the scenery did not wait for anyone, as the city's view changes every day. Now that more than 10 years have passed, Fang Su visited the old place again, but it felt particularly unfamiliar. That day, Tang Qiaoyuan brought him outside the mansion to play. He wanted to take him to places that were once familiar, especially to the school on the east side to see if the old teacher Mr. Wang was still here. Although he had thought about it in his mind, Fang Su didn't honestly speak it out. When he was walking with Tang Qiaoyuan on the street, he didn't even know where the streets would lead them to. Tang Qiaoyuan took him by the hand and strolled around leisurely, as if he had no purpose, and asked him several times where he wanted to go, but before he could even answer him, he would say to himself, "There's nothing special here though, so let's just walk around freely." as if he was deliberately teasing him, and Fang Su's face would turn red. Coincidentally, Fang Su was not someone who talked much. He a reserved person and would not ask for anything in front of Tang Qiaoyuan. He could only let him take the lead as they walked here and there and kept his words inside his heart. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't know what he was thinking about, but his eyes were filled with smiles. After a few blocks, he asked again, "Is there somewhere Su wants to go to?" Fang Su's heart was moved. This time he couldn't help but to push on. He quickly looked up and said, "I want to go to the east of the city." He, himself, was astonished once his words fell out. It seemed that at this moment, he realized how anxious and funny he was. He lowered his eyes in embarrassment and immediately calmed down. Tang Qiaoyuan was trembling from his laughter. He held his hand to his lips and chuckled endlessly. He finally laughed enough and at last stopped teasing Fang Su. He put his hands on his shoulders and turned him around, then he asked happily, "Isn't this the Yingwan private school?" Fang Su was slightly surprised and stared blankly at the horizontal plaque. His impression of the 4 characters on the plaque was vague. After all, at that time he was young and the characters that he knew were limited. So, he couldn't remember the name of the school well. But this place's doorstep, courtyard, the walls, and the grey tiles on the eaves, all appeared in his dreams too many times. "We already are in the east of the city." Tang Qiaoyuan hugged him from behind and said with a smile, "Mr. Wang is still teaching inside. Do you want to go in and have a look?" A deep feeling of surprise was floating in his eyes. Fang Su was very excited, but still asked hesitantly, "If I were to enter like this, won't it be inappropriate? Teacher must have forgotten about me long ago. If you don't go to see, then how will you know?" Tang Qiaoyuan said that and took him inside, not giving him time to waver. The sound of reading came from inside. The grass in the courtyard was green, and at one corner of the wall, there was a leather ball stained with dirt. Fang Su hesitated a little as he stepped into the courtyard and suddenly felt his mind becoming clearer. Not far away was the school's classroom. The door was open. The children inside all sat behind a table and studied with a smug air surrounding them. There was a small stool placed at a familiar spot outside the window, but now that no one uses it, it seemed a little empty. The teacher was pacing slowly in the room with a ruler in his hand. From time to time, he would gently tap on the spine of those who were misbehaving. After a moment, he could see from his peripheral's vision that someone had came over. Only then did he lift his head to look in their direction. Fang Su looked at him, and because of his nervousness, he unintentionally pinched the fingers of the person beside him. Teacher Wang was already very old. His eyesight could not be compared to before. He had to take a few more glances before he recognized him, and he couldn't refrain himself from greeting him with a smile. "Teacher," Fang Su saluted in greetings. He was anxiously thinking of how he should greet him. He did not foresee that there was no need for him to dwell on this at all. Teacher Wang returned his greetings. When he looked up, there wasn't the slightest bit of unfamiliarity in his look. Unexpectedly, there was even a heavy gratitude in his eyes as he spoke with him. "Young Master Fang, this old man expresses his thanks on behalf of Yingwan Private School." Fang Su was completely clueless. It was only a small stool, yet it was able to make the young master remember it in its heart. Karma really makes one overwhelmed with emotions. Fang Su was silent as he could faintly guess the cause. He raised his head to look at the person next to him, and he saw Tang Qiaoyuan nodded slightly, reassuring him. "Teacher," Fang Su knew it very well in his heart that his chest couldn't feel any warmer. He turned his head to look at Teacher Wang and replied, "Teacher has a kind heart and to whom this student is greatly indebted to. How could this student forget it?" Teacher Wang had a smile on his face and stayed very modest. Fang Su saw that his appearance was quite older. The 10 years that has passed was etched on his face. He looked repeatedly, and it was as if he returned to his childhood. At that time the person who was teaching inside the classroom heard some movements outside the window. When he walked toward it to take a look, the young child thought he made a big mistake. He was standing there stupidly and did not dare to run away. Teacher Wang walked to his side, rubbed Fang Su's head and wanted to take him inside to listen to the lecture, but Fang Su was so afraid that his eyes turned wet, not daring to take even half a step. Teacher Wang felt helpless and could only put a small stool beside the window and returned inside the classroom to continue his lecture. He deliberately avoided looking at the window bars so it wouldn't make Fang Su felt scared and nervous. The young Fang Su was reassured, and from that moment on, the little stool became his exclusive seat. Every day he would come to listen. Sometimes, he would even find a piece of sugar bun hand-wrapped in a handkerchief on it. Fang Su came back from his reminiscing, and the old man before his eyes looked at him with a kind expression. This time his tone wasn't as unfamiliar as before. He spoke as if he was speaking to the ignorant child back then and sighed. When you suddenly stopped coming over at that time, I would often be worried about you. Now that I can see that you are well, I can finally feel at ease. Fang Su's eyes turned moist in an instant. Just as he was thinking that things remained but people changed, he was shown that both the things and the people remained the same. Most of the things in his past were sad and gloomy, and it was unbearable to look back at them. But fortunately, he came across something happy at this moment. He sighed with emotions but also couldn't contain his excitement. He couldn't help himself from staying in the courtyard and speaking to Teacher Wang for a long time. The children who were reciting the lesson in the classroom quietly turned their head. They all happened to look outside and became distracted. After a long time, Fang Su bid his goodbyes and left the private school with Tang Qiaoyuan. The sunlight on the street was just right. Tang Qiaoyuan tilted his head to look at the slightly red corners of Fang Su's eyes. He stretched his finger to touch the wet spot and asked deliberately, "Is Su happy or sad?" Fang Su stopped his steps, and for once he did not avoid the teasing. Without avoiding his gaze, he looked at him with joy and called out, "Qiaoyuan." "N." Tang Qiaoyuan had a deep smile. "What did you gift to the school?" Tang Qiaoyuan casually replied, "4 treasures of the study, gold and silver goods, things that they can use at school." "Aren't these the only things I can gift them?" Fang Su smiled. After a while, he lowered his eyes and spoke in a voice that was so small that it was almost unintelligible, but it was extremely firm when it fell to the ears. "Thank you." "You should not thank me." Tang Qiaoyuan stretched his hand to hold a strand of soft hair that was hanging behind Fang Su's back and corrected him, "You should take it for granted, with complete confidence, and make demands to me in an arrogant and domineering way." When Fang Su heard the 4 words arrogant and domineering way, he couldn't help but laugh. He smiled with his eyes crinkled as he also shook his head. In fact, Tang Qiaoyuan naturally knew that these 4 words were inconsistent with the person in front of him, but he insisted on phrasing it this way. Every word and every action of his was to coax Fang Su into being happy. As long as Fang Su was satisfied and distracted from the amount that was spent. Even if he were to build a brand new school for Yingwan private school, he would have agreed to do it quite happily. Fang Su was not good at expressing himself, but he was aware of what affection was. He knew who was being good to him and who wasn't. He did not have much before and did not ask for anything, thus when such a person appeared in front of him, he always had this idea that he will lose it sooner or later, that he had to protect himself so that when one day came and he was discarded, he would not be so badly hurt to the point that there will be no patch of skin left whole. But now, Fang Su suddenly wanted to let go of all of his concerns. He wanted to be greedy for once. He wanted to take all the good this person had to give and make it all his. He wanted to believe that he would never lose them. Fang Su was silently looking at Tang Qiaoyuan. After a while he asked that one thing he was most uncertain about, "Qiaoyuan, why are you this good to me?" "Because I like you." Tang Qiaoyuan straightened his eyebrows, his words full of comfort, "You are my wife." "Then why do you like me?" Tang Qiaoyuan laughed, as if he didn't know the reason, and he whispered to himself, "Right, why?" Fang Su still did not understand, but in the end, he was relieved. He was already married to this person anyway, and he was already aware of his feelings. Tang Qiaoyuan, these 3 words, no matter what happens in the future, would be the name that will be forever engraved on his heart. End chapter.